When did you first understand that you might have influence? Was it when you were asked to help the teacher return papers way back in elementary school? Maybe it was after taking a babysitting class as an almost teenager. Could it have been when your youth group leader picked you to offer a devotional on Sunday morning? Or when your 8-year-old looked at you square in the eye and said, "Mom, you are way cool." Or maybe when you won the debate. Maybe when you received a promotion. Or when you were asked to head up a committee at the school. When did you first suspect that you possessed influence over others? With me is Anita Lustria of Moody Radio. Anita, when did you first recognize that you have influence?
Well, that's a good question. You know what, as a kid, actually, I remember in junior high having this little group of gals that would kind of follow me around. It was a little scary. And I would carry this big old Bible. And we would sit at the lunch table and we'd get into these, what I thought back then were deep theological discussions on a junior high level, of course.
Hi, with me is Tracy Bianchi, an advisor to Fulfill. Hey, Tracy, when did you first know that you had influence?
You know, I think the first time I realized I had influence, I was about 16 years old, and I had a youth pastor that told me that I had gifts that I could lead, and he actually asked me when I planned on using them, and I had never thought about that before, and he took a few extra moments to recognize leadership in me, and that has stayed with me for the better part of the past 20 years, actually. So it's the first time when I was about 16.
With me is Kendall Parkhurst. Hey, Kendall. When did you first think that maybe you had influence?
All right, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I remember being in elementary school on the playground, and I'd be sitting in a circle with my group of friends, and I would actually get up and walk away and go sit down about 10 yards away, and I would turn and look and see how many people came and followed me. Is that bad?
For me, my first intuition that I might have influence was when I was in about 3rd grade. I had asked for a giant blackboard for Christmas, one of those freestanding kinds, and I put it in my garage and arranged overturned cardboard fruit packing boxes in really neat rows. I slapped down carpet squares in front of each one of them, and voila, I had school. And then I invited all the neighborhood kids to my class. They came, and I read them stories, and I scrawled in my beginning cursive on the board. One night I held an open house complete with brownies made from my mother's recipe. And I invited these little kids' parents. They came, probably to see what I was doing with their kids. I had a hunch just then that I might have influence. My hunch grew when I was asked to stand before a group of young life donors and offer a story of what God had done in my life. And then when my church tapped me and ordained me as an elder at the age of 16. And then as I put my arm around a woman in the file room at my job in college and I comforted her as she missed her son. And then as I looked at my daughter's eyes deep inside of them as she became a mother and I said, "You are amazing." In Matthew 25, 3 people are given talents. 2 invest them. 1 does nothing with what he was given. In fact, he buried it. Instead, he was intent on giving it back to the master without dent or damage. Reading that story over and over, I have to wonder if maybe he didn't act not just because he was afraid, which the passage clearly indicates was the case, but maybe also because he never really imagined that he would be given, entrusted with something worth investing, something like influence. Maybe he just couldn't see it, make it out, understand it, because of the lens through which he evaluated it, saw it, took it in. Sometimes we can't see the individual movement and moment of influence that we've been given to invest until we back way away and take in the entire pattern and connect the dots. It's often in connecting these individual dots that we see the fact that God has indeed given us influence.